What I consider friend zone is if you've ever been in sales before or in closing for yourself or for somebody else, and you get excited because you're in literally what you consider rapport, right? You're like, everything's going great. They're agreeing with everything that you're saying. You guys have so much in common on the phone. And then at the end, most people come to me and be like, I don't understand what went wrong. Right? They had to think about it. They didn't want to move forward. It wasn't the right fit, and everything was perfect. That's what I hear closers tell me all the time. Everything was so great. I can go back and listen to the call, and immediately I know, I was like, I see what the problem is. You got friend zone. All right, what's up, everyone? Today we're going to cover step 3 of the 8-step Inception flow, which is going to be rapport and pain. This section of the 8-step is going to be a 2-part series because this is probably going to be the longest step out of the entire 8-step flow. In fact, it's the most important step because until you get the information here correctly, going into pain, developing rapport, then nothing else of the steps from actually closing the deal, bridging the gap, all that good stuff is going to matter if you don't collect as much information as possible. And a lot of people get this wrong when it comes to how to build rapport correctly, how to go deep into pain. So what I'm going to do is, because this is so intricate, because teaching this is going to be very, very time consuming to cover all the key parts, so to give you the most value, to make sure that you get results, because that matters to me. I actually care about you getting results and getting the point across. I want to make sure that I break this up. So in the part 1 of the step 3 video, we're going to just cover the rapport section, and then part 2 will cover actually going deep into pain. Now, why are these two together? These two are together because you want to start developing rapport as soon as possible in the sales process. But the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to get friend zoned. Okay, this is very, very important. Let me write this here. Friend zoned, right? A girl or a boy that you're interested in, and you want to date that person, but they don't ever let you date. They put you in the friend zone. This can happen to you in the sales process. And what I consider friend zone is if you've ever been in sales before or in closing for yourself or for somebody else, and you get excited because you're in literally what you consider rapport, right? You're like, everything's going great. They're agreeing with everything that you're saying. You guys have so much in common on the phone. And then at the end, most people come to me and be like, I don't understand what went wrong. Right? They had to think about it. They didn't want to move forward. It wasn't the right fit, and everything was perfect. That's what I hear closers tell me all the time. Everything was so great. I can go back and listen to the call, and immediately I know, I was like, I see what the problem is. You got friend zones. You developed the wrong type of rapport. So the first thing I want to cover is there's 2 different types of rapport. Number 1 is friend rapport, right? Number 1. And then number 2, expert rapport. So what we want to focus on during the whole part of the sales process is we're going to be focusing on expert rapport. So what does that actually mean? First of all, if you're this far into this step of the video, right, and if you have not gone through the previous videos of this series, I'll put a link down in the description below so you can go back, because you need to see the overview of the 8 steps. You got to understand planting the seed. You got to understand steps 1 and 2 before getting here. So if you've gotten this far and you have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, the 8 steps, please go through the description of this. Make sure that you catch up to this part of the video, because you're too far ahead, right? You got to nail everything else up before you get to this step. But expert rapport, right? It's very simple. Like, imagine you go into a doctor's office and you're hurt, right? Or you have diabetes, right? Well, most people that have diabetes, I think what, type 2? Type 2 is from being overweight, right? Well, the difference between these is if a doctor was just like, man, how I can only imagine how it has to feel being overweight, right? And now you're diabetic. That's got to be very, very hard for you, right? And the patient's just like, oh, you're right? No, that's not what a doctor's going to do. A doctor is going to be the expert and be like, listen, if you don't change your diet and your habits immediately, with the issues that you're having, it's going to affect your health. It's going to start affecting your blood pressure, right? It can start clogging your arteries, right? You could be at potential risk for your actual health and well-being as a human being, right? You must stop eating the way you're doing, and you must make a change immediately, because the way you are doing things right now is not working out, right? That's what I mean by being the expert, right? So friendship rapport means you're not there to just be like in unison and to be buddies with the prospect on the sales call, right? Now, I'm not saying don't be a jerk, but you got to understand the difference between them seeing you as an expert and them seeing you as a friend. Because if they see you as a friend, they're going to think at the end of the call, wow, you know what? That guy or gal was really nice, right? And one thing I learned on early in my sales career is anytime someone says that person was a nice guy, my trainer, actually back when I worked at a dealership, said, I want you to imagine that every single time they do that, they're giving you the birdie. Every single time they say, you know what, I like that guy. He was a nice guy. My manager was like, I want you to pretend like they literally just gave you the finger. He said, because basically that's what they're saying to you. They're not taking you seriously. That's really stuck with me during my closing and sales career. And so I want to cover, first of all, what is rapport, the way that other people aren't going to teach it to you, right? And how to be known as the expert. So number one, you want to know that you're getting good rapport is, I want you to think of rapport when you're talking to a prospect. I want you to think of rapport as something simple, a head nod, okay? We want the prospect to agree with us and give us a head nod. We're like, oh, wow, he gets me. He or she gets me, right? So number one, you want to think he or she gets me. This is probably crooked in y'all's end. Just work with me. He or she gets me, right? That's number one. And rapport is going to be related to head nods. Head nods. Super simple, right? So, the right kind of head nods means if somebody is there for a specific problem based on the call that you are having, you are there to offer a solution, right? But what you want to do is to build rapport, you need to be able to explain their problem and their pain better than they can. Those are the top type of head nods that you want to build expert rapport and not buddy-buddy rapport, right? There's a huge difference. So, for instance, someone came in, you go into the doctor's office, and you know your shoulder is always hurting, right? You're like, man, I'm stuck. I'm having all the shoulder pain and stuff, and you just sit there and you just talk about, well, oh man, you have shoulder pain. That's gonna be really tough. What do? Are you playing sports? How did this happen? Man, that's got to be like it's got to be really rough. I can only imagine how frustrating that's got to be, right? And then of course the prospect's like, well, yeah, it is frustrating, right? I like this doctor. This doctor gets me, right? You're building the wrong rapport. That's friendship rapport, right? An expert would be able to explain their situation better than they can. Whoa, okay, hold on a second. Your shoulder hurts? Question. When you aggravated it, if you go and you put it and you go and you do this and you go to reach up above and you put it in this position, does it not only hurt but feel like a tingling pain and also hurt down here as well when you go into this position, right? Now, when I say it that way, the prospect's like, yes, oh my gosh, as a matter of fact, it does, right? So because the doctor was able to get you to nod your head and say yes, he built the right kind of rapport. You want the prospect to view you as the expert, because if you are the expert to describe their pain, you automatically are going to be the expert who can solve their problems. This is very, very important, right? So head nods, the more head nods you can go and get degree. And this does not have to be complicated. Let me give you another example. Let's say you are in B2C, you're closing for yourself or you're closing for an influencer. This happens all the time. And let's say the influencer is running ads to target people that work 9-to-5 jobs, right? So the audience is, they're working a 9-to-5 job and they want to start a business, right? And they want to take a course. Let's say it's like $1,000, $500, whatever it is, a course, right? And the problem of why someone would want to start a business is very, very simple, right? They want to make money. They want to escape the rat race. They want to escape the 9-to-5 job and the hustle, right? So what thing you can do is, let's say I was talking to somebody and I want to build rapport with them and be like, listen, what really interested you in wanting to start a business, right? I'm starting to go into the problems, right? We'll get into how to go in deeper into pain next, part 2. But just to build rapport, I'm starting the questions off in step 3, okay? So really, the biggest thing you want to address without being scripted is, why are you here and what's your problem, right? Why are you here? What's your problem? Right? And then the moment we start asking these questions, this early on in the phase, rapport must start being built immediately, because we want to be an expert figure, right? So let's say the prospect's like, well, I've been working a 9-to-5 job for the past, 15 years. and I need to get more money because right now it's not enough. I have 3 kids. I'm barely covering my rent. And I need money. Something has to change. I need extra income, right? So, an average person, a beginner, would just build rapport and talk about, my favorite question that I absolutely hate. It's my favorite because I like to make fun of people who say that, what most people will teach you, they'll be like to ask you, how does that make you feel? Oh my gosh. You're struggling paying your bills. You're not making enough money. How does that make you feel? What we want to do is we want to take this line and we just want to absolutely kill it. I can't stand this question, right? That's not what I mean by building rapport, going deep into pain, right? I mean, they're struggling, freaking paying bills, not making enough money. How do you think it makes them feel? It's a stupid question. So let's go ahead and kill that. But now, if a prospect were to tell me that same thing at 9 to 5, and I wanted to relate to them, I'd be like, no, listen, I completely get it. Again, I'm agreeing with them, right? So number 1, agree with them. I get it. It's got to be super frustrating knowing that you're working 9 to 5, but you come in, you come home, then you have to go see your family. You get paid on the 1st and the 15th of every single month, and then right after you get paid, your bills are due. And the next thing you know, you just had this money come in and you pay your bills and you're looking at your bank account with barely anything left over and wondering what the heck just happened. You guys see how I'm describing their situation better? All they told me was they want to make more money because they're working a 9 to 5 job and they have a family. But if I describe their situation in grueling detail and say keywords like you got paid on the 1st, you got paid on the 15th, nothing I'm saying is like crazy, right? I'm saying common sense things. However, those common sense things have a great impact. Automatically, they're nodding their head. They're thinking, holy crap, he's right. Holy crap, he's right. He gets me. The rapport is going through the roof. So the whole time, I know, and there's truth to this, right? The whole psychology of head nods is you're training somebody. The more they nod their head, the more they say yes, right? Which is true. There's a lot of psychology about that, but it's more than that. That's not why I want you to get head nods. I want you to think of head nods as the more I can get them to agree with me, the more I can think he gets me, the more they're gonna think that I'm the expert and that I have the solution to their problem, right? That's key. So very, very important there in that distinction. So just by describing in grueling detail what they're going through, adding that little extra fluff, okay, in detail of what they're trying to say, of what's in the back of their mind, the more stuff you know what they're thinking, because prospects aren't going to want to open up to you in the very beginning, right? Your very beginning of the process, they don't know you, like you, and trust you yet. This is how you start to develop that trust. So if I can get them to open up and describe themselves and get that head nod, they think, holy cow, this person gets me. They're going to want to open up more. The more you go along down the process of the conversation, the more they open up, the more you have permission to ask higher trust questions. So in the case of rapport, always remember these rules, okay? You want to always start when you're getting into step 3. This is after you've already gone through 1 and 2. You nailed your intro. You got the agenda down. You already leveraged whatever social proof you have, whether it's social proof, if you're closing for an influencer, you leverage the influencer, whether it's a concept for your own business, you leverage the concept for your own business, whatever social proof is that you planted, you leverage that in step 2. Then now, once you know where they're at in terms of the leverage, you get to come here and you start getting like, well, why did you book the call today? Why did you schedule it out, right? What's the actual problem? And then when they describe the problem, the only thing that should be going in your mind is active listening and head nods. The more I can get them to nod their head, the more rapport I'm going to get, but you don't want it to backfire by building friendship rapport. You want to build expert rapport. And how do we build expert rapport? By describing their problem better than they're telling it to you and going into more detail to the point where they're like, holy crap, this person understands me and he gets me. That's what I mean by expert rapport, and this does not stop. So this is in step 3 because you want to start building that rapport, but it's going to be continual the entire conversation, all the way up to step 8 and beyond, right? Agree with them. They tell you something, you agree with them, you explain the situation better, and you do it in an expert way so that they see you as the authority figure and not their friend, right? One final example, right, is let's say, again, let's give an example for fitness, right? And somebody wants to go and lose weight, right? This person here, they want to lose weight. This is me. I need someone to help me with the solution to my problem. And Cool. Well, why are you here today? Well, I'm here because I want to lose weight. I'm sick of how I look in the mirror, yada, yada, yada. I have summer's coming around the corner and I have a wedding and I want to look good in my clothes, right? Well, now you want to describe, you don't want to talk about, you don't want to just be their buddy and be like, oh yeah, that's great. Well, where have you worked out before? Where are you from? That's what most people do. Where are you from? Tell me about the weather, yada, yada. Oh, that's so cool. We have so much in common, right? That's being their friend. An expert would go more into detail on why they're struggling losing weight, right? What kind of stuff have they tried before in the past that's kept them there? Have they even tried losing weight in the past, right? Really understanding where they are, what they're going through, and whatever their problems are they're telling you, explaining it back to them in more detail. That's all you got to remember. If I can just explain back to this person in more detail what they're telling me, right? Like, for instance, let's say this person's like, I'm trying to lose weight. Cool. Have you tried anything in the past? Yeah, I've tried multiple things. And then now I say to this thing, I imagine that's got to be very frustrating, right? Especially because not only have you tried other things, you probably have gotten gym memberships before. Heck, you probably, like most people, have had 2 or 3 memberships, tried to show up consistently, then it didn't work out, or you were burnt out and your muscles were sore and you were demotivated. You probably tried different diets. Everyone says keto, everyone says intermittent fasting. You try all these different things and then they work for a little bit, but the next thing you know, you're right back to square one. That's what I mean by ruling detail and explaining it better than them. If I said that to this individual, if I literally just mapped out in my head like stuff that they could have tried, and again, I'm just guessing. This is literally, like I said, common sense things to build rapport with somebody. Just from me saying that to an individual, what is going through that person's mind? Holy crap, he or she gets me. Automatically, I am viewed as the expert. I got a head nod and they're thinking, holy crap, yes, that's me, right? That's what I mean by expert rapport and not just being their buddy, right? So we're not here to get friend zoned. We are here to be viewed as the authority figure so they will take us seriously, and also to hold our frame, because the entire point of the 8 steps is for us to qualify them, not roles are reversed. At no point in the conversation is this person going to tell me how I can help them, right? I need to make sure they are a good fit for us. And we're going to start addressing that and going into identity. I've been talking about identity this entire time in the 8 steps. That is what this is all about, the Inception 8-step flow covering identity. Part 2 of this, we're going to start digging into the pain. I will see you guys in step 3, part 2. If you have any questions about rapport, post them in the comments below. And again, make sure if you haven't caught up yet that you go back to the past videos. See you guys in part 2 of step 3.